Hi there. Welcome to the Experience Podcast. My birth name is Dennis. My family name is Miller. And I do business in the Matrix in all capital Dennis Miller. And if you have any questions what that means, feel free to Google all capital letters, your name, and the Matrix and see what you come up with. And with me today, I have
My name is Neil Miller. I am a multi-dimensional, infinite spiritual being having a human experience. Today, we're talking about a fascinating topic. It's a topic directly related to how collectively we create the reality that we live in. And on a personal level, we are creating our reality, and by creating it personally, collectively, we affect the collective on a personal level. And in that aspect, as a collective, together, we create the reality here on Earth that we are living in. And so now when you look around and you see COVID-19 and you see people wearing masks and you see the big letter V's being presented in CVS's, in pharmacies, you see this and you say, well, we didn't want to create this, or how are we creating this? Well, the way that we're creating this and the reason that the things are the way they are is because of shadow work of the collective human shadow. And until we as individuals take care of our own shadow and do the shadow work for ourselves, which nobody else knows about except us, until we do that, this reality is going to potentially, it's not going to stay the same because the only constant is change. But in order to create a better reality than what we're living now, we have to begin feeling better emotions and to begin creating that better future. How do you see a correlation with the individual aspect and how that affects the collective aspect?
Well, I think you shared some of the things already with the couple of things that you mentioned with the letter V and the masks, or the word with the V, or the shots. We'll just call them the shots, right? So the correlation that I see is the fear. So first there was fear, and they created this mass hysteria and tried to get everybody to run off the cliff into the sea with fear. And that's exactly what they're trying to do as far as pushing these, if they can successfully get us to get so afraid that we give in to what they tell us will take that fear away, and then that's where we create their reality. Whereas if we have faith in ourselves and don't buy into the fear, that's where we can create the reality that us human beings actually choose to create. That's how I see the different correlation.
So, what is reality? As a definition coming from Oxford language, they say that the definition of reality is the world or the state of things as they actually exist, as opposed to an idealistic or a notional idea of them. That is from Oxford Language. And from Nikola Tesla, he says, if you want to understand the nature of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So, what is music? Music consists of energy, frequency, and vibration. So, reality is similar to music in the sense that it's a dance of energy, frequency, and vibration. So we're creating it through where we put our attention. And
also, what you just said, we're
Sure.
also using it with the words that we speak, by the tone of words that we speak, because in essence, that is also creating some kind of music. So by the tone of voice that we use and the words that we speak, we are either creating life or death in the reality that we're creating. We're creating our own music. And we're either dancing to that or we're having other things dance to that music.
right, but the words themselves are the music, because the words are nothing more than frequency and vibration coming from your voice box, wherever words come from. They are frequency and vibration and energy being projected from your mouth, from your voice, your vocal. So I thought about saying that, but I didn't want to say that about words creating our reality because of the fact that of being in a state of beingness. So if you're in a state of being, I guess there would still be some words, but in a state of complete beingness, you're in a state of, per se, let's say meditation, where there would be no words, where you would now just be feeling the feeling and potentially having a picture in your mind with the feeling, but there would be no words to go with that. And it's possible to create your future from that without words. That's why I wanted to bring that out about words. But through our day-to-day, when we use words, they directly do help create our reality, and they not only help, but they are a direct playing factor in creating our reality.
And I would also like to bring up the fact that the words that we, our intake of words, what are we receiving as far as words go? What environment are we putting ourselves into? What kind of music are the words in the music? Or if we have a TV, what are the words that are coming out of the TV? That also has an impact on the words that we speak and the words that we think, and the music that we create with our words then.
So on this, so collectively we are creating reality. There is, it's not something that's happening to us, it's something that we're creating. There are no coincidences or accidents in this universe. Everything happens for a reason. Everything happens in divine order. And when you realize that, it's also kind of like there are no accidents. It's like every single thing that happens for a reason. That small fly that's buzzing around your head when you're talking to someone, and it's like distracting you, and you're thinking about the fly. That fly is distracting you for a reason. It's everything is so interconnected, and everything happens for a reason. So, going throughout our day, when we feel when we feel negative emotions, when we feel emotions of lack, when we feel emotions of our past, what we're doing is we're reliving moments of our past, and when we relive those moments of the past, we bring that past emotion directly into the present moment. And now we're feeling how we felt in the past. So rather than feeling how we felt in the past, enter the present moment right now by taking 6 deep breaths, by doing any of multiple techniques that can bring you into the present moment. And when you do some of these exercises and you come into the present, you can create a feeling for the present moment. And when you do that, you're no longer creating the feeling that you're feeling is not coming from your past. It's being created in the present. So now you're not being controlled by your past. And what is the future? The future is a continuation of the present moment. So when you begin to feel good emotions in the present moment, when you begin to feel fantastic in the present, now you are priming yourself and creating that emotion in your future. You will now have circumstances and events and people that you meet that will reflect that emotion back to you, or bring it out within yourself more. What can you add to that?
I totally agree with everything you said. I'd like to add a couple of things that I was thinking about when you were talking. Something that I like that helps me see how past emotions can affect me is to imagine like a negative loop. So if I bring lack or if I bring fear or something like that into my life, it's this loop that keeps on repeating itself. Whereas how you were saying, feeling good in the moment, it's like there's glitches in time. So the future does not exist. So it's like you feel good here, you feel good here, you feel good here, if this is the timeline. So it's you feel good, feel good, feel good, feel good. And then that just compounds.
So, feeling good, you were talking about being in a loop of bad emotions, and about how when you're in the present, you're feeling an emotion, and it's not a good emotion, and it's from an experience that you had from your past, but you're reliving it in your mind, and you're bringing that emotion into the present. this loop is going to continue until you recognize that it's a loop, and that when you recognize that what it is and that it just keeps coming up and you recognize it for what it is, the recognition of it is the first step to putting an end to it. But this can also go to a positive loop, to where you can feel good, you can feel good emotions in the present, and it will put you in good situations, so you will feel more good emotions, and then you will continue to feel that amazing, abundant feeling of the future. So I wanted to bring that out, how the positive can become a loop as well. But I want to be cautious with saying about the loop thing, because when you're completely, totally present in the moment, there is no loop. There is just now. There's no yesterday, there's no tomorrow. There's just feeling good right now. So I feel like that's very important.
You mentioned techniques of becoming present.
Yes.
Like, so if somebody's watching this video and they didn't watch any of the videos in the past, what can you tell them? What kind of techniques are you talking about?
So we have videos directly with 6 techniques on how to become more present in the now, and I recommend that you go watch those videos. I do not want to go into that in this video. So now when you feel the feeling that you want to feel in the future, and you paint a picture in your mind about what that future is going to look like, and then you feel the feeling of how it's going to feel in your body, and you embody that feeling, and then you just go throughout your day with that feeling, and you will eventually, be it weeks, be it months, be it years, you will create, if you can hold that feeling and that picture long enough, you can literally step into that reality. And this is completely verified and backed by science. And there is wonderful psychologists and scientists by the name of Dr. Joe Dispenza and Dr. Bruce Lipton, and Greg Braden is another fantastic researcher. And there are multiple videos of these people on YouTube where you can go and do your own research, and I highly recommend that. But I wanted to bring that out. The techniques that I am bringing forward right now are techniques that are being used and are being verified time and time again by these great scientists and psychologists. So there is there's 4 emotions that the elite cabal, the 1%, they are 1% of the population. There's such a small number, and they try to control 99% with 1%. It's almost like a joke. Like 1%, one person trying to control 99 people. That's pretty funny if you ask me. So the emotions that these 1% want to keep you in is, the first emotion is fear. They want to keep you in a state of fear. There is, so we'll go a little bit out there. There is inorganic beings that feed off of your fear. They are not of physical form. They are inorganic. They are more so like a spirit form. And these inorganic beings, they feed off of the emotion of fear. And love, when you feel love, it is their kryptonite. They cannot feed off of love. Love is like, you can think of love as it just makes them go away, essentially. Whereas fear, when you feel fear, they can feed off of it. So the first emotion that the Cabal want to keep you in, the 1%, is fear. The next one is shame. So a state of shame. You should be ashamed of not going along with what other people are doing. You should be ashamed if you want to do your own thing. You shouldn't even do your own thing. How shameful of you. So that's the second emotion they want to keep you in, is an emotion of shame. The third emotion that they want to keep you in is an emotion of guilt. So your neighbor got the vaccine and you didn't get the vaccine, and you should feel guilty that you didn't get it. Or let's say you didn't get the vaccine and someone in your family gets sick. You should feel guilty that your family member got sick because you didn't get the vaccine, because you may have caused it. You should feel guilty. Actually, you shouldn't.
So, because I got a question. So, because I didn't get the vaccine, should I feel guilty that the rat got the rat got COVID and died, and I passed it possibly to the rat?
That's the third emotion that they want to keep you in, is a state of guilt. The fourth emotion that they want to keep you in is a emotion of inadequacy. You're not good enough. Who are you to say anything about this? Because you are just you are who you are, and you're not good enough to even to speak. I'm here to tell you that your voice does matter, and that is what they're trying to tell you, that it doesn't. So your voice does matter. You are adequate. You are blessed. And I wanted to bring those four emotions forward. So I'll name them off one more time. So fear, shame, guilt, and inadequacy. Those are the four emotions that the Cabal elite want to keep you in. So there's been a lot of I've had some people ask me about, let's say, religion, and about going to church. And so I just want to bring forward the difference between religion and spirituality. And the difference is that with religion, people are afraid to go to hell. And they're scared. They are living in a fear of hell. With spirituality, people have already been to hell. They've already seen hell. They've already faced hell, and they begin to face the hell of their dark side, the dark side of themselves, and they begin to take care of and fix the dark side of themselves. And this is called the dark night of your soul. And that is the difference between religion and spirituality. Religion, people are afraid to go to hell. Spirituality, people have already been to hell. And then they're just saying, it feels so good to be alive. So, with that, the dark night of the soul, this collective thing that we have going on right now is because of the collective karma that is being created. And it's more than one thing, because obviously there is more than one individual, so it's a collective thing. It's something that we have collectively built up in the collective consciousness. How can you explain and give some clarity to the dark night of the soul, and maybe give some examples?
So, I found this quote by Hazrat Inayat Khan, and he said, "There can be no rebirth without a dark night of the soul, a total annihilation of all that you believed in and that you were." So, I see that as I imagine like a snake where they shed their skin and they become a totally different version of themselves. It's like a rebirth. So that's how I would define that.
Would you have some examples to go with that? An example of going through the dark night of the soul, or what does that look like? How does that feel?
So I'll just share a little personal experience that I had about a month ago. So I was in this position at work, and I got put in this position probably about 5 months ago, and I didn't realize it at the time when I accepted to take that position. But what started happening is, so this leadership position that I got put in, throughout the day I would constantly be strategizing and be thinking about things that needed to be happen in the next hour, in the next 2 hours, the next 6 hours. And my mind was constantly strategizing and trying to move the ball forward, right? So what happened is that I lost so much touch of myself that I didn't realize this until it was all of a sudden, it was like, boom, everything just, it felt as if it was like two walls coming together and something had to change because the pressure was so great. So the pressure was so great that I actually became very depressed and very suicidal. And one night I was doing my daily things that I usually do during the day. And I was kind of in this meditative state, and all of a sudden I was listening to this inspirational YouTuber that I listen to at times. And I had this realization. And when I had this realization, like I cried for probably the next 2 to 3 hours, and my whole body just shook because it was such an overwhelming sense of I knew that I knew that I knew that I knew. And then 2 days later, I resigned from that position, and it honestly, like it was the second time that that's happened in my life, but it was like a total rebirth of how I lived from that day on, how I thought, how I was. what I did, the thoughts that I thought. So it was a very, very powerful moment, because when I was in the depths of that darkness, it felt as like I was literally ready to blow my brains out. A couple days before that, I was crying in depression and desperation. But in like 3 or 4 days after that was when I was crying because it felt as if the weight of the world had gone off of my shoulders, and I was at total peace. I was at total harmony. I knew that I knew that I knew that I was doing the right thing.
So
That is my example of a personal.
sure. Who are you?
I am whoever you say I am. I am who I say I am.
The reason I asked that is because you said when you were thinking and you were strategizing and you were thinking about the next 2 hours, the next 6 hours, you were essentially you lost yourself in that process. Who is yourself? Who did you lose when you were thinking, you were strategizing, and
I lost touch of my own being.
who is your being?
I lost the spiritual connection of my own self.
Which is what?
Me. I lost that spiritual connection, and that's what.
The awareness is what it is. It's the awareness behind the thoughts. Because the awareness observes everything, but it isn't the thoughts. It is just the awareness of it. So you had less awareness of awareness, and you just had thoughts. Is
Yes.
this the way you were feeling?
Yes.
So when you began to have less thoughts, when you had more time for yourself, when you were not always strategizing, what happened then?
I was able to just observe the thoughts. When I was strategizing, I became the thoughts, and the thoughts became me. And that's what created the depression and the anxiety and the restlessness and.
Right, because you are not your thoughts.
Exactly.
You are the awareness. But when you're constantly thinking of the past or thinking of the future, it can feel like you begin to become your thoughts, but you're not your thoughts. You're your awareness of them.
I think that's big. Like that's a big thing. So like if you're watching this and you go throughout your day and you think you're your thoughts, like just try observing them.
So their vision of the future is a future of lack, a future of fear, a future of shame, a future of guilt, a future of inadequacy. That's the 1%'s vision of the future. So they promote this vision of the future through music, through films, through politicians, through the government. What is the government? The government, when you break it down, it's govern mind. Well, the solution is rather than having a government which governs your mind, begin to govern your own mind and take control of your life to create your reality rather than allowing someone to tell you how to create your reality. So that's kind of the future that they want, and I want to present my vision that I have for the future. So the future that I see is a future where people govern themselves, they govern their own mind. The children are taught what it's like to be a human being. They are taught how to be from a young age. They are no longer taught how to necessarily do things. They're also taught how to do some things, but essentially they're taught how to be a human being, being a human, just being the awareness. So, another thing that I have for my vision of the future is that there are smiles on the people's faces, and it is a colorful future. It is a future where there is lots of color that is brought out, and there's less darks and less grays, and there's more color, more brightness. There's also, in my vision of the future, the children are taught to be free thinkers rather than indoctrination. So they're taught how to think for themselves, and with that they will create a more free thinking world. Love reigns supreme in my vision of the future. The people have way more than they could ever possibly need. And when they have way more than they could possibly need, everyone else has way more than they possibly need. So now you're constantly just sharing, and there's an abundance of everything. There's an abundance of food. So that is a vision that I have for the future. That is the future that I am focusing my attention on. Because where we focus our attention is where energy goes, and I wanted to present that. Can you add something to that? What does your vision of the future look like?
So I think when you were saying that, I think one of the biggest things for me is cooperation instead of competition. I think that will be big in the future, because we've been listening to Darwin for the last 100 years, survival of the fittest. Well, look where that's got us. I think that in the future, in order to survive, we're going to need to cooperate, because that's what the cabal is trying to do as well, is to create division. And when we cooperate, we can all lift each other up and take everyone to a whole nother level that we can only dream of.
Until we're there. And then just say, feels so good to be alive. So I have something I want to bring up, and it is about what we are able to see with our eyes. So our eyes are amazing tools, and they do wonderful things. They pick up light, and then they transmit it to a center inside of our brain, and there a picture is produced inside of our brain. So our eyes do not see. Our eyes literally just pick up the lights, and then a picture is produced inside the darkness of your head. And inside of your head is where you see the world around you. So what you're seeing right now is all in your head, and that's a fact. So on that, with what we see, so this is coming from the NNSA, and It's a website. What the NNSA is the National Nuclear Security Administration. And this link will be in the description. So, visible light. The entire rainbow of radiation observable to the human eye only makes up a tiny portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, about 0.0035%. And this range of wavelengths that we can see is known as visible light. So out of the entire electromagnetic spectrum that actually exists, the human eye can only observe 0.0035%. That's way under even 0.5% of what is observable is what we're able to see. It's less than 0.5%. It's 0.0035%. That's what's called visible light, and that's what we're able to pick up and to see. So we're practically blind. We are not seeing anything. We are seeing 0.0035% of the electromagnetic spectrum. Like literally, there's an alien right beside you right now, and you're just not seeing it. I just wanted to point out that we're practically blind with what we see with our eyes, so be aware of that and just let that give you some clarity and potentially open your mind a slight bit. And do you have anything to add to that?
I don't.
Peace.